Okay, we continue our special series, Playing by the Rules, now with a staunch opponent of Dodd-Frank, West Virginia Congresswoman Shelley Moore Capito. She serves as chairman of the Subcommittee on Financial Institutions and Consumer Credit, which oversees the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, of which she is an outspoken critic. Well, Congresswoman Capito joins me live from Washington, D.C. Now, welcome, Congresswoman. Good to have you on the show. You know, earlier we were speaking with Deputy Treasury Secretary Neil Wolin, and I wanted to start with a comment that he made. I asked him about too big to fail institutions, and some critics saying that they've just gotten bigger. And he said, in fact, there would be no way, if a big bank went out of business today, that there would be a taxpayer bailout. Is that true? Do you agree with that comment from him?
No, I don't agree, because I think that the way the resolution authority is being constructed, it still gives the FDIC the ability to go to the Treasury to borrow money to help unwind these institutions. And the Treasury is the taxpayer. I much preferred an enhanced bankruptcy, which would be totally out of the reins of the regulators or the executive branch or the taxpayers' dollars. But, you know, we lost on that. And so we want to be very careful that the constructs that are coming forward do provide that safety wall between the taxpayers and these institutions. But I'm not convinced that exists right now. And I'm not alone in this.
Congresswoman, you certainly aren't. There are a number of outspoken critics. And let me ask you, you did, however, give Dodd-Frank a grade of a D- as opposed to an F. You didn't write it off altogether. Let me ask you, what did Dodd-Frank get right? Is it the act itself that's right and the implementation that's been poor? Or is there something in the act itself that you would change at this point?
Well, I think we all knew that we need financial reform. And so the fact that there is financial reform contained within Dodd-Frank, to me, is a plus. Plus, one of the things that we lacked before was a lot of transparency. And I do believe Dodd-Frank does make balance sheets more transparent, financial conditions of financial institutions much more transparent, mortgages much more transparent. And from that aspect, I couldn't give it a total failure. But I still think that loading regulation upon regulation, when you see the cost to the institution, which is a cost to a consumer, that concerns me.
What is the likelihood that parts of Dodd-Frank, from your perspective, will be repealed or will be changed dramatically?
Well, I think you've already seen, number one, the interchange issue. That's already been changed and massaged a little bit. We just had an issue before our committee about rating agencies and the liabilities for them to have their comments in prospectuses. I think that we'll probably see more a chipping away. I don't think that there's any chance that Dodd-Frank would be overturned in the whole, and I don't think that's the direction that we're going. You see, tomorrow we're going to be on the floor trying to get some more accountability and spread the decision making in the CFPB. So, you know, you'll see us moving forward step by step rather than a whole swipe at Dodd-Frank all in one swoop.
Congresswoman, on the one hand, you've pointed out, you've criticized the administration for not filling many of the seats as it relates to Dodd-Frank's act. On the other hand, many would say it's the Republicans that have held up that process. And I want to talk about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau in particular. There is a nominee now out there to head up the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. You've been an advocate, though, of using a board process or a 5-member council as opposed to having one single head. Do you think that's an appropriate criticism to say that, you know, you and your constituents are perhaps holding up the process by not confirming Richard Cordray, and which is not to suggest that you're not going to?
Well, let's look at this. We're almost to July 21st. It's been a year since this was created and since the Bureau was created. The president's had a year to make this nomination. He makes it 4 days before the rights and responsibilities are supposed to move to the Bureau. So it's going to really kick in leaderless. I think you know, whether he's confirmed or not is meaningless at this point, because, you know, they haven't even had a chance to even look at him. And I think that a commission would avoid something like this, would avoid the changeover in the presidents, maybe trying to appoint a new head of the Bureau being held up from political reasons. If you have a board, you spread. Not only do you have institutional history, you have a lot of different viewpoints, and it mirrors a lot of our product safety councils that we already have here in Washington.
Congressman,
and it was the original idea too, was to have a commission. Originally from Elizabeth Warren and others, was to have a commission. That was the original intent of the law before they changed it.
We will be staying on top of this, of course, and we thank you for joining us. We have to leave it there.
Thank you.
Good to speak with you. That was West Virginia Congresswoman Shelley Capito.